and toasty.
Oh my God, it's cold as hell out here.
Did you guys?
I'm dying right now. I'm already sweaty before we started.
It's like you think you're in London here. It's just horrible. It makes you just want to like, holy shit.
We're live.
Oh, really?
Hello, internet.
Well, you're supposed to say.
I said I was hitting the buttons.
No, it's just cold as hell. Hey, we don't have much time here because Brad has got to go. He's got a soccer game with the kids. If we run long, he is just going to peace out, nerds. Right?
Nerd.
Yo, man, I'm out
Yes.
at 5. That's, got to hit the time clock or whatever.
Right. We're going to be talking about Threadripper 2 bandwidth issues.
Yep,
Athlon is
sure.
back. And miscellaneous. It's the only best way I can
Miscellaneous.
put it, right? Miscellaneous.
All right, weird
Miscellaneous.
ass chords that are more than chords.
And miscellaneous.
Yeah, we got some show and tell. Yeah,
Show and tell.
yeah.
Yeah, I brought that other cable too, Adam.
Oh, thank you, sir. All right, I think we're good to go.
Yeah, let's hit it.
Yeah, I think we're.
Hit it.
Right?
Yeah.
In this episode of The Full Nerd. Oh, what the hell is it? All right, here we go. In this episode of The Full Nerd, Threadripper 2 bandwidth issues, Athlon is back, and miscellaneous stuff. Welcome to The Full Nerd, episode 65. I'm your host, Gordon Mong, with co-host Brad Charkis,
Hello, internet.
who has to peace out in 1
It's
hour
actually
exactly.
episode 66.
Is it episode
66.
I just changed it to 66. Okay, well, welcome to Full Nerd episode 66. I'm your host, Gordon Mong, with co-host Brad Charkis, who's got
Hello.
to peace out in exactly 1 hour for a kid athletic event. I understand that. You don't want to get those big eyes looking at you, disappointing you. And
Yep.
as a joy, we have our games expert, Hayden Dingman.
Yeah, but we're not talking about game stuff, so I don't.
Yeah, we are. Oh, you're right.
Expert in all things, including games.
We could pivot just like RTX. And, of course, Adam Patrick Murray controlling the vertical and horizontal.
Hello, everybody. Also, Leslie on YouTube says, "Welcome back from PAX, Gordon. How was that PC Master Race panel that you were on?"
It was a lot of fun, actually. It was really a blast. I mean, there was like a whole contingent of PCMR folks, so it was really a blast. I will say PC Master Race, even though people can get angry. We don't have time to discuss that here, but it's a
Gamers Nexus actually posted the entire panel today.
Oh, awesome.
So I haven't checked it yet. I plan
nice.
on it. If you haven't, Gamers Nexus has it.
Yeah, I should go find that and drop a link in the chat because I'm excited to see that. I'm also excited to hear from Hayden back from vacation
I
in
didn't
Europe.
go to Gordon's panel.
No, I didn't go to my panel. He doesn't hear what the hell I got to say.
Hayden was also at PAX.
I was also at
So
PAX.
PAX. And
I think I did more work than you at PAX, probably.
I think you did, actually, yeah. Although, it's hard to not, put your foot in your mouth. That's a lot of...
yeah, PAX was fine. I don't know. There wasn't a ton there this year, I don't feel like.
Yeah,
I feel like even we were kind of spoiled too. I wrote this we did a hardware roundup like usual. And like usually I come back from PAX, I'm really pumped because everything is like all the PC companies are there. Except this year, Brad and I went to Gamescom and all the PC stuff at Gamescom was like absurd.
It
They had
was
awesomeness.
so
Yeah.
much, so weird everywhere you look.
yeah, just like case mods everywhere. So like we took pictures of, there was like a Star Destroyer case mod, a pirate ship, like all this
Sure
stuff.
wasn't a Jedi Cruiser case mod. Sorry, not to sidetrack. but just kinda-
And it was amazing. And then I went to PAX and it was like, oh yeah, it's just keyboards and headsets again. It's just like Asus has a booth with normal cases in it.
and dummy RTXs, right?
Yeah.
yeah, everybody had right.
Our Gamescom coverage that we did, I did all the weird stuff that we saw. It wound up being like 50 pictures or something like that, but I actually started with over 300. That's
Yeah,
how
it's amazing
crazy it is.
And so yeah, PAX this year was like, I went back and I was like, oh, I feel spoiled. Like now I go to PAX and the PC stuff it's still for the US probably the best PC show, but or the best PC gaming show. I mean,
Yeah,
but
that's
it was
fair.
definitely a little bit of a disappointment after Gamescom. So
Yeah, no, there wasn't much. I did walk the floor looking for cool things. All I saw are like you or the GeForce RTX coolers, not actually video cards. Because
Yeah.
the actual video cards, they were just the coolers. It
Yep.
was just kind of like
when I messed
That's
with the
totally because Steve from Gamers Nexus tore one down at Gamescom.
it's all his fault. It's all his fault.
when I messed with, I was saying earlier in the chat, I messed with that keyboard that Cooler Master is putting out with the analog WASD. So that was cool.
What do you think?
They were demoing Fortnite, so it's a little hard to get a feel for it because Fortnite only has like a run and a walk. You don't actually like have full analog movement in that game.
Oh, I see what you mean by analog. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll recap. It's like an MK850, and basically the WASD keys have, I think it's the WASD keys, and a couple of the other ones have
WASD.
yeah, it's WASD. Have IR sensors, I believe, underneath them, and so when you push them down, instead of a normal key which actuates or doesn't, it's a digital switch, binary, one or on or off. These mimic sort of an analog stick, and so you can push down like the W key halfway, and you'll walk instead of running.
That's nice.
Which is like a very new thing for the PC. Like PC has never done that. Usually you hold down like a walk key in order to walk in a game or whatever.
But it's more for vehicles is what I sort of took it as when you're flying vehicles.
Yeah, if you want to like fly in games or something. And it should work though in, if you're running around. It seems cool. It also seems like I would want to put it through its paces for a couple of hours to get used to it and then also see how durable it is. I think
they're cherries,
feeling.
though, right? Aren't they cherries?
No, so that's the thing is like the rest of the keyboard is cherry switches, I believe. But I think the ones that are under the WASD switches are just like custom built in-house switches.
Right. There's a company that makes it, I think.
I haven't pulled the caps off because I didn't want to like on the show floor start dismantling their keyboard.
Hey, why not?
But I'm looking forward to trying it out at some point. It seems like a cool idea, and could really change the way that people use keyboard and mouse.
I'm intrigued. Yeah,
it feels like you would need game support for it specifically.
No, because that's the thing. They're all built for consoles, so they all have analog
and
support.
gamepad.
They all have it coded in. I think they just don't use it.
Oh, so it basically thinks you're controlling the
left analog stick.
Oh, okay, wacky.
Yeah,
that just sounds wacky.
Yeah, it's cool though. It seems like it could be a big change because WASD has been like static for 30 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
It's not so it'd be cool to see some innovation now that we have that sort of technology to do it with.
I like it.
WASD may have been static for 30 years, but only today did I learn that some people pronounce it WASD.
Well, how are you pronouncing it?
I never heard that the first time. I was just saying WASD.
This is like the Wes Fenlon. You saw that article, right?
Is that a Wes thing?
So Wes at PC Gamer discovered over the summer that he's been using WASD wrong his entire life.
What?
He's been playing with like his three, like his ring finger on the W, I think.
It's like this. I'm holding up to the camera.
So this is the way that you usually play.
Middle finger and then the two fingers next to it.
Yeah, he had been playing it like shifted.
What?
Sideways.
That is hell?
Weird.
And there's like a whole article. It's on PC Gamer. You should look it up of him like revealing this to the PC Gamer chat room, and all of them freaking out.
Weird.
I thought he was like admitting it to the world, but it was actually his coworkers.
And then he wrote an article about it and admitted it to the world. Yeah,
that's weird.
I hung out with Wes. We went to dinner at Computex. Is cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know he used it wrong.
Yeah, he was.
If I'd known that, I wouldn't have gone to dinner with him.
So he's using all four fingers. Is that what?
Yeah, he like had.
I guess I can kind of see that just trying it right here, but
it seems horrific.
It's.
He's doing it like this.
So it's like this.
The pinky,
the pinky is
ring finger,
W,
and the two next to
and
it.
then 1, 2, 3.
The proper way. Is
I guess I can see it.
Two around it. Right?
I guess I can see it.
But those are weak fingers.
Also, like you don't need to hit front and back at the same time.
Well,
it's either one or.
Well, how does he hit Shift key, which is like every game has? We have just we've gone off the rails.
I know. I didn't mean to derail. Brad's got a hard 1 hour deadline here.
It's all good.
So, you know what else uses four fingers?
Threadripper 2. Threadripper 2.
We
are going to go. We're calling it Threadripper 2 because you don't understand. You need to call it Ryzen, second generation Ryzen Threadripper.
Ryzen of the Threadripper.
We're going to bust through this really quick. You want to bring up slide 1? Sorry, audio people. Basically, it's a layout of.
Did you number them right?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, sorry.
Makes it easy. We're busting out some slides. Basically, if you've seen it's the topology of the Threadripper chip, of course, 4 chips all connected. There's 4 chips.
There we go. What's up?
2 of them share. Only 2 of them have memory controllers. So 2 of those other sort of compute dies share the memory controller and the PCIe with the other one. Basically, it's sort of like if you had your apartment, but the apartment next to it is connected to your apartment, and for those people to go to the hallway to leave, they have to go through your apartment, which sounds like it really sucks, but
It
you
does.
know, at least you are getting the income for that second apartment connected to your apartment. So you don't give a damn. He's like, come through here every day. So, but there are issues. Of course, there were some issues brought up early on that this is going to be a limitation with memory bandwidth. So we're going to go to slide 2 here. This basically shows, I'm going through it at light speed here.
You are going.
We're going to go through really
quick.
fast there. It basically shows you how much memory bandwidth per core you have around Sandra 2018 Titanium per core memory bandwidth. If you run that same CPU, the Threadripper, but you only run 1 die, you get about 5 gigs a second. You run 2 dies, you're getting about 5 gigs a second because you're basically using those 2 apartments that have their own memory controller. But then you start having those people come through your apartment all the time. They're like, man, I didn't know that you actually had a business that you run out of your house. So people have to come through my apartment into your apartment all the time. We're down at 2 gigs a second. This is kind of annoying, right? And just for comparison, Core i9, about 4 gigs a second. This is actually measured per core, right?
That's interesting to me in a couple different ways. One, it's interesting to see that when it's just the 2 cores or 2 dies, how much faster, how much more memory bandwidth Threadripper has compared to Core i9.
Right.
But it's crazy to me that when it gets overloaded and moves to the other cores, that the drop is by more than half.
Yeah.
Because it goes from almost 5 all the way down to 2. That's significant.
Yeah, because you're going from those 2 apartment buildings that have their own hallway. Now you got like, oh man, I got business. Like this guy's got like they got a massage parlor run out of the apartment next to me. It's a pain. Sucks. Okay, and for all these tests, I basically clocked the Core i9 and the 32 core Threadripper at 3 gigahertz. All the CPUs were locked at 3 gigahertz to take any turbo boost out of it. Next slide here. This is 7-zip, which of course was the one that's freaked everybody out. I actually went in and looked at it a little harder. Finally, after initially doing the testing, I tested it from 1 to 64 threads, which you can do in 7-zip. And for audio listeners, you basically, there's a line that it hits a wall at about, it starts...
And all this is on PCWorld.com.
All this is on PC World. You could look up Threadripper 2 memory bandwidth issues. And basically, Threadripper is fine. You get up to about 8 threads. It kind of takes a right turn. You get up to about 26. It takes another right turn and then starts heading back down. You're basically memory bandwidth constrained at about 26 threads. In this particular test, 7-zip, the compression component actually tests memory latency, cache, and out-of-order sensitivity. Basically, memory bandwidth is an issue. And to sort of make sure that it is an issue, this is real or not, I took our Core i9, which is also a quad-core CPU, and I disabled 3 of those channels to bring it down to single-channel mode. And on the chart, you can also see video. People can see it great. Audio listeners, it takes a right hook at about 18 cores. It basically, you hit serious memory bandwidth issues with this particular test in 7-zip. So it is a real issue. It does manifest itself in some other places. We're going to slide 4.
Oh,
sorry.
So quick.
We're just going fast here. I'm trying. I get like, if I go over here, Brad's kids are going to be like, Brad's going to blame
I got
me.
Brad's going to have, man. This is
sorry.
That Cat's Cradle song's going to start playing in the background. Brad's going to start crying.
I would have been here, but Gordon's just talking about this bandwidth issue.
All right. Here we go. We got it.
We're up on slide 4 here. Basically, you can see this is VeraCrypt AES encryption with 1 gig. You can basically crank it up, so it's just using a ton more memory. And somebody's drilling in the next room. They're just doing construction here. We're building our dungeon. Same thing. You can see that basically Threadripper is not doing great. 2 dies, 4 dies, it doesn't matter. It's just not doing very well. And now I'm getting a phone call. It just doesn't do well. Core i9, awesomeness at basically, twice the performance of a Threadripper in the VeraCrypt. And if you, again, take that Core i9, cut it from 4 channels to 1 channel, it's basically below the performance of the Threadripper CPU. So clearly, memory bandwidth in VeraCrypt AES encryption does matter with very large workloads. And again, all these are set to 3 gigahertz.
So break this down for just like a high level. Like, what does this mean if I just want to buy these at home?
Okay, I got to mention this thing because if you don't mention this,
he's not there yet.
Don't mention this. We'll just skip this. We're going to go all the way to slide 6. If I don't mention this, Hayden, people are going to get on my ass. All right, they're just going to like. They're just going to like.
Slide 6.
Big asterisk here is Windows has severe issues clearly with how. The NUMA cores on the 32-core Threadripper are handled. AMD will never confirm this. They will never say anything bad about Microsoft because they are just best friends, never admit it. I can clearly say from seeing benchmarks that Phoronix as well as Digital Trends ran on in Linux and Windows, it ran great. So just to let you know this, it does run better. But the same, if by moving to Linux, you see a huge performance increase in 7-zip and probably other memory intensive tests, but it's still below that of a Core i9, and it should be higher even because it's got 32 cores instead of 18 cores. Okay, so basically, we're going to go all the way to slide 8, and this is what Hayden needs to know. Hayden is like, oh man, I just got
exactly what Hayden needs to know.
I just got my massive lottery check payment, and I'm just going to go out and splurge.
How'd you
know? Going to buy 2 RTX cards
for everybody.
I want to make everybody jealous. And do I want to buy 32 core Threadripper or 18 core Core i9? Well, basically, if you are running at lighter thread workloads below, say, 24 cores, generally that can take advantage of the higher clock speeds of Core i9, it's actually not a bad option. So if you really just run these things at like a lot of gaming is going to be better on Core i9. Yeah, more expensive, and really the cost per core is not there. You're just not getting that value that you do out of Threadripper. But on a Threadripper, if you were like, hey, I'm Hayden Dingman, I just got my uncle just left me $4 billion. I'm starting my own game development company. I need to do some 3D rendering assets, that kind of stuff for the game that I'm doing. You want a 32 core Threadripper because
that's true even with the memory bandwidth.
Memory bandwidth. I mean, the thing about the memory bandwidth issue here is that a lot of applications aren't really that memory bandwidth sensitive. I'm finding some things can be, obviously, but like 7-zip, the test itself is based on what 7-zip does, but multiple iterations of it. That it actually using it doesn't actually do. So it's not that realistic. I also did some handbrake encoding, and it's not as memory bandwidth intensive as you would expect it to be. It does move the needle a little bit. But, yeah, if you're doing compute, rendering, that kind of stuff, you want Threadripper. If you're doing, gaming, video editing where you're not, doing 50 different encodes at the same time, then Core i9 is not a bad idea, except that you will feel like, I'm only getting 18 cores for $2,000 instead of getting 32 cores for $1,900 or $1,800. So
yeah,
that's the
okay. $1,750.
There we go. But
really, it boils down to, I mean, it still makes sense. It can make sense to buy the Core i9 for the same price because it does have those higher clocks. So like everything, especially when you spend this much money,
right?
It boils down to what you're using it for.
Yeah, like all things, it should be a personal task. You don't want to buy based on your religious choice of brands. Some people definitely want things just because they want them. Pick the best tool for the job. Right?
Well,
that's one thing I think that's really interesting since Ryzen has come out. That's become so much more of an actual thing. Like before you would just, hey, buy an Intel, buy a Core i7 if you want, or Extreme Edition if you need 10 cores for $1,700. But now you actually got to think, hey, man, do I need 8 cores, 16 threads for $300? Do I need the higher speed to get as much gaming out of it, but a couple less cores? So there's actually a lot more decision making now.
I mean, I tweeted yesterday, and I think Brad saw the thing. I went to a Ubisoft event yesterday, and we had actual PC demos for Assassin's Creed, and they were running on AMD machines, which is the first time I've seen a game demo at an event run on AMD machines in like probably 4 years at this point. I was actually really surprised. That never happens. So
that's a really good sign too, because it means they're actually like, "Hey, we know you exist." I imagine. Go ahead.
There were a ton of AMD machines at Gamescom. I wouldn't call it an even split, but it's getting close.
Yeah, it looks good for them.
Are you talking about just CPU, or were you seeing Vegas as well?
Both. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Wow. Damn.
Wow.
Mostly Ryzen.
Did they just share the one card?
Yeah, Ryzen's I think the bigger draw, but these were running Vega as well. So.
Oh, nice. Competition's good for consumers, right? Good for the market, good for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that is nice, especially for Ubi, because a lot of issues when Ryzen first came out, Tomb Raider was one of those things. They're like, what?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And they started to.
That was the
optimize
first.
for it.
The first Tomb Raider was an AMD game, right? And then the second, because they were using not Hairworks, they were using whatever AMD's equivalent was.
But it was graphics.
TressFX.
Yeah, TressFX. That's right.
Sexy.
And then the second one, they moved over to NVIDIA and Hairworks.
Right. But that's just on the
partnership.
graphics side. The big issue was it just ran slower.
Yeah. Yep.
For unknown reasons on AMD than on Ryzen in particular.
Yeah.
So.
No, I just remember all of a sudden was thinking of TressFX, which I haven't thought of that in years.
Nice.
Suddenly everybody cared about their hair products.
Vignesh was saying TressFX was in both Tomb Raider games, but
I think it was in both, but they partnered with NVIDIA on the second one to do Hairworks. It was if you open up Rise of the Tomb Raider, you get the NVIDIA splash at the beginning, not the AMD one.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you pick the best CPU based on what you need.
Yeah.
Right?
Cool. I like it, but
so memory bandwidth. If you're going to be using other cores, don't be concerned about memory bandwidth. Is basically what that's your final boiled down. What you're saying here.
Yeah, I still think if you need more cores for compute, go for Threadripper. If you need higher clocks at not as heavy of thread load, go for Core i9. And then also asterisk, think about if you happen to have an application that is heavily memory bandwidth constrained, then you need to also look at that. So it's a little tough because how are you going to know? But I got to say, for the most part, it doesn't seem to make a difference. So
cool. Invented controversies.
It's still something that has to be looked at. You can't.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely, a lot of people want to say, "Oh, it's all Windows fault. It's all Windows fault." It's not all Windows fault because it still should outperform that Core i9.
Yeah.
In Linux.
yeah, because there were a lot of people before in chat, not today, but in earlier times where there's like, oh well, here's the solution. Run Linux. It's way better for this stuff. But yeah.
Right, and again, you look at the performance, like, yeah, wow, there's a big step up for Threadripper that is unexplainable on Linux, but there's also a big step up for Core i9 too, and the 32-core Threadripper is still underperforming an 18-core Core i9.
Yeah,
so it's not just magically gone, vanished. You can't just dismiss it. So
cool,
nice,
yeah. So yeah, when we see a Hayden's game on. Because news billionaire right next to us. We're all trying to shill for him. Yeah.
Hayden Dingman.
I'm making that up. I'm going to be buying an Athlon.
I'm making a World of Warships competitor. I targeted an audience of one.
It's all submarine based.
Yeah. And it runs on Athlon?
Runs on Athlon. See, I'm trying to pivot here.
Oh.
Pivot us, Gordon.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on. Brad says Athlon is back. I don't even know.
Yeah. AMD announced new Athlon parts this morning, which we haven't seen since the FX days. And it's like an overhaul for the brand again. Because if you remember way back in the day, Athlon was like performance parts, right? They were the high-end chips. They're the first to hit a gigahertz, I believe.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. During the FX era, if you had an Athlon chip, what that meant is that it did not have graphics on board. So it could be the same CPUs basically as you would get from the FX chips, but with no graphics on board. This Athlon is upgraded for the modern age. It's built using the Zen architecture, so AMD's new CPU architecture, and it actually has Radeon Vega graphics inside. 3 compute units. And it's $55. So entry level. It's looking like they're looking to position Athlon as like the counterpart to like Pentium and Celeron, like budget parts. That would be my guess looking at this. But they're APUs now rather than the exact opposite from before.
Yeah. Well, but that, it is one thing they needed, because down in that $50 CPU range, if you don't have graphics, no one's going to buy your part, right?
Yep. And they had nothing there for the whole first gen Ryzen.
Yeah, no, they didn't. So that's a good sign. But oh boy, $55 with, dual core with. But I guess it's good for somebody.
Yeah, it's who knows what you're running with that.
35 watts, dual cores, 4 threads, 3 Vega compute units. It says it can handle 720p esports gaming out of the box. I wouldn't push it too much harder than esports, because when Gordon tested the Ryzen 3 2200G APU, the $100 one, it had 8 Vega compute units, so more than twice as much as this Athlon does. and you still needed to drop things down to 720p and make some graphical compromises to play on it. So maybe don't try to, play Shadow of the Tomb Raider on this, but you could probably get your League of Legends on.
Well, maybe this will be included in the upcoming Atari box, huh?
Oh,
yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
What?
Are they targeting this at laptops, Brad, or is this a desktop?
This is a desktop part. This is a desktop part. They also announced a bunch of desktop Ryzen alternatives for business today.
Yeah, it just seems very underpowered for like anything you would use a desktop for at this point. Like I feel like the people that own desktops at this point are like mostly looking for more performance, because otherwise why wouldn't you just buy a laptop?
Well, it depends. I know some people who still have desktops because they like the bigger screens that you can't get with laptops.
Yeah.
The physical keyboard.
Yeah.
And I was poking around trying to make a build this morning with this thing, and you can get everything you need for it as far as the box itself, not counting monitor, keyboard, whatnot, for under $200. So this
and the operating system, Brad.
Not and the operating system. You got to run Linux to make the most of the memory bandwidth.
Yeah.
So yeah, under $200, it'll play your videos. You can browse the internet on it. You can run Office.
Yeah.
If my kid needed a computer tomorrow, I'd consider using this to build it for school.
Well, and E. Lopez over on YouTube saying cheap home theater PCs, main boxes, embedded NAS, all that stuff.
There are definitely reasons. It's just like that market seems pretty small at this point. It doesn't. I don't know. Like, it seems like a lot of those are either you just go cheaper and you end up with like a Raspberry Pi based system, or you go more expensive and end up with a real system most of the time. Like most of the people that I know that are building entertainment PCs at this point are just running something off a Raspberry Pi with like a USB stick stuck in the back.
Yeah,
that's true. But whenever you talk to AMD or Intel, because I generally feel the same way, I think that's pretty low end.
Yeah,
they refer to these as the high volume parts. The cheaper the parts are, the more that they ship.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and also we have a rather American view of everything, and a lot of the world. A $300 CPU is way out of their reach.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I could definitely see for developing nations, this is actually decently priced. And then I guess you're really going up against a Pentium, which is I mean this is gonna stink compared to a Ryzen 3, but up against a Pentium, it's probably pretty competitive, I bet, especially on the APU side.
Well,
AMD said if you want to play games with it, this is up to 84% faster at high definition PC gaming than its rival. Although they didn't call it out by name.
HD meaning 720p.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sydney over on Facebook saying the Athlon name is so damaged by bad performance, they think it's an awful choice to resuscitate it. What do you guys think?
I don't think. I mean, probably for us here, our perspective.
Yeah, I don't think most people that were buying this part would even know what that means.
Yeah.
And again, if you're thinking about bad performance, I mean, this is a $55 chip. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if you're buying a $55 chip, I don't feel like you even care. Like, I would be shocked if they knew what AMD was at that point.
But I guess maybe the point is, like, when Ryzen came out, there was probably some thought like, well, could they reuse FX?
Yeah.
But FX got the brand got pretty dirty there at the end. It was, I mean, it was getting beat up pretty badly. So.
Yeah. But again, I feel like that's a consumer that might actually know the brand name. I don't feel like anybody buying a $55 processor is usually like, oh, I need to look into who's making this. They just want whatever is cheap at that point.
Right. Yeah. And if they're told at the store this can play League of Legends or, then hey, what the hell?
Yeah, and like how many people are buying these, standalone anyway? Like, I feel like these have to be mostly intended for pre-builts, right? Just cheap pre-builts that you're just like, great, this thing plays
e-machines.
Yeah, this thing checks my email, and like I'm just gonna shove it in a corner and use it.
Yeah, I mean, PC gaming is a choice in a lot of parts of the world because they don't have access to consoles. As much as the console people will say, oh, we're cheaper, not really, because you can't run in a lot of those markets. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that the Athlon name will matter much to the people that are buying these parts. But
I agree.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention that AMD said there are going to be two more: the 2080 the 220 GE and the 240 GE, but they'll talk about those when they launch in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
Whiskey Omega over on Twitch says Athlon versus Pentium. What year is this?
You know, they're making a new Streets of Rage, so honestly, it might be 1995.
You know, and it's actually probably not. I mean, Pentium is too high end. It's really Athlon versus Celeron at this point. And you could, some of those Pentiums are just like, they were stupid, right? Those Pentium K, unofficial K parts, those things are crazy. So I guess I could use Duron. Nobody remembers Duron anymore, does it? Right? That's something that hasn't been around for a while.
Well,
I don't like that. I don't like the sound of Duron.
Yeah, it sounds awful.
I don't remember what it is. It's just all I remember. I mean, the name, but it's like, what? It's supposed to compete with Celeron. It's a Duron. And what the heck was a Celeron anyway? I don't know. Celery, because that was the big joke back then. Right? Celery, Duron. I don't know.
Dirt on. You know, if you can't afford you know, a high-end CPU, maybe you can just buy an external processor to help, you know, boost quality, right?
Oh boy, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Are we moving over?
Yeah. We got a couple fun little things to talk about.
You're talking about an external processor, Adam, because I'm going to bust out two things that are very interesting. Actually, Brad.
Whoa, nobody told me Gordon would have a knife.
Gordon always has a knife.
Gordon always has a knife. Yes.
I know you're a San Franciscan, but you know you always got to. So look, so it's interesting. You guys never heard of these things. So this is interesting.
Well,
so,
I have, but...
Well, no, I mean, Hayden, Brad, like, what are you even talking about?
No, I've heard of that. I think it's just Brad.
Really? The M cable?
Yeah.
So first one is the M cable. This is a Cinema Edition. There's also one for gaming. Adam and I were messing around with it yesterday. The gaming one actually claims to offer AA support. So it basically smooths out the jaggies, and we'll also do some
I've seen that.
Oh, really?
I've seen that. Now that I see it, the name M cable. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
damn it.
From Marseille.
Marseille M cable.
I'm not French, but
it's pretty cool though. For audio listeners, I will describe it as basically a fat HDMI cable that has a USB coming out of it. You plug this puppy in between your panel and your PC, and it just magically uses. There's an ASIC in the chip. Real time offers image enhancement to it.
Does it work?
Are you testing that? Yeah, I'm real skeptical.
So
I remember reading about that and being real skeptical.
So we shot a video yesterday. I've had this since E3. I chatted with the nice folks at the booth at E3 and just haven't got around to trying to test it. But I was like, all right, I've seen you know, some thorough testing from Linus Tech Tips, from who's Digital Foundry, and they were like, hey, wow, okay, we're seeing some good improvements here. But I wanted to do a blind test with Gordon, so I set up our Ryzen APU build, 2 exact monitors, one, you know, just standard, and one with this cable. And the video, I just finished it up. It's literally uploaded to YouTube. I just need to fill it out and push it live, so it'll go later today. But yeah, Gordon, why don't you tell them what you think?
So we tried it in 2 different configurations.
And this was the gaming edition.
The gaming edition. This is the cinema one. It just simply does video processing. I'll have to try this out. I believe this, after seeing what I saw yesterday, it does work. First one we tried, though, was the Ryzen 3 2200G. You know, that's a machine that you're playing PUBG at 720p with everything turned down to get, you know, because you do have to turn up draw distance, because if you don't have draw distance turned up, you're just going to die. And you could barely tell. You could barely tell at all. And we also did try, I think, Tomb Raider. What's it, Rise of the Tomb Raider? So one of them, and you could barely tell, and we're like, what? Why in the world? Why do that? Like Linus and Digital Foundry, these are 2 very respected people. They've got good eyes. They're not just making stuff up. And they were just saying this thing is awesome. We were like, what? Because we're not seeing anything. This is insane here.
I mean, you can see it, and especially when I did some capture and show some B-roll. Like, I mean, you definitely see it. But it's you know,
you definitely see it if you stop in the game and you lower your AK and you say, wow, look at that rock. It's no, because you just you got to stop and you got to focus. So I don't know what it is, but it's like, this doesn't make sense. So we also then took the main gear, which is an 18-core Core i9 with 2 1080i's, liquid cooled, badass custom machine.
Yeah,
awesome machine. It's right behind.
Yeah,
yep, there you go.
And we cranked down the resolution, and we cranked down the settings, and you could tell. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know why you could immediately tell. Like I could understand why everybody say this thing actually works. It's actually amazing that it works because it does actually smooth out a lot of the jaggies, but it only did it on the 1080 Ti 18 core, and this has nothing to do with 18 cores or 1080 Ti. I don't know if it's an NVIDIA thing or an AMD thing.
Well, so the other weird thing is that I tried to get straight capture plugged into either our capture cards here or even an Elgato yesterday after we filmed, and it wasn't playing well with it. So I don't know what's going on.
Really?
Yeah. Like so, I literally had to point the camera at the screen just to get some B-roll of it. So I don't know. You know, I haven't talked to them about what else is going on in there, but yeah, it's
it's really odd because we basically A/B'd it, one with a straight HDMI and the other one with the M cable, and you could really, I gotta say, it really looked. You could definitely tell there was a difference. There was AA on which you would probably maybe turn off. In the end, though, I think we were sort of saying it's $120 to $150.
50, yeah. So there's the 3 foot to 6 foot
for a cable.
Yeah.
And if it does work, but would I rather take $150 and go one step up in the graphics card?
Yeah.
Get a 1050 Ti.
Yeah. So it really is like, I'm not. I think it's probably best for console players, is what I determined.
Yeah, I mean, Digital Foundry definitely was like, hey, this is great on the Switch, which a lot of games don't have AA.
Right.
That makes sense.
And maybe natively is running at 720p anyway, and you're trying to upscale it to a HD TV. So, but Linus did a lot more testing in like classic games like Quake, that didn't have solutions already built in, and was seeing some stuff. So I mean, it's like you can definitely see use. We were just trying to find a use case for it, because if it doesn't work well with a 2200G, or why would you not use that extra money to bump a 2200G up to an external card? But also, if you're going to put it on a main gear F131, you're
not gonna.
You already have the power.
Yeah,
so.
you have internal AA at that point. Solutions like your games are going to look fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
It's a little odd.
Switch makes sense. I mean, that's an investment. That's like half the cost of a Switch.
Yeah, but I mean, even a lot of the I don't think the AA on the other consoles is very good either. So I could see throwing it on, especially like the baseline Xbox One.
Because this doesn't support 4K. So
yeah.
Oh.
So that baseline Xbox One could probably benefit from it. But I don't know. I'm saying that sight unseen because I haven't messed with it. So
yeah, the A's, it does take a really bad hit, doesn't it, Xbox?
Yeah.
Because it's funny because I sort of take A for granted as free in everything on the PC, but on consoles they really do struggle with AA still.
Yeah, I mean it's because we're 6 years into this console cycle or whatever, 5 years, so that's part of it. I feel like AA was still a thing we were figuring out 5 years ago, and we've come a long way since then on the PC side, but they're still dealing with the same hardware that was underpowered in 2013 and now is very underpowered. So yeah.
PC.
I'm not sure how I feel about the idea of a cord sitting between my graphics card or whatever and my display and just doing things, though. Like,
yeah, it's a little sketchy.
Like what's to say that what they're doing is going to be right and not messing stuff up all the time?
Well, and when you're on the desktop, it's still affecting that, and it didn't get great results when you're sitting on a desktop. Linus did say in his thing, he wishes that maybe in the future it has an on-off switch or a pass-through kind of switch on it. And then also, I don't know if we mentioned, but this does take one USB slot for power.
I guess you could pull the power as kind of a painful way to turn it on.
But and when I was there at E3, I talked to him, and I was like, well, why even make the cable at all? Why not just maybe make this a dongle, and then that kind of can make it a little bit easier. And they didn't have a straight up explanation for it, but they were just like, oh, it's just easier to make a cable. But yeah,
and it's probably easier to get, you're getting a cable out of it too. Why not just do
but it's 3 feet for $120, like 3 feet's pretty damn short,
Yeah, I could not use a 3 foot cable the way I just have
even on a desktop.
I have my desktop on the floor, and that would be too short. So.
It's interesting to me that it's also the price increases for cable length. So I do wonder if they had to integrate it into the cable to keep complete control over the signal. Otherwise,
for HDCP or whatever.
Yeah, and then or if you had your box and then somebody plugged their 25-foot HDMI cable into it, and it would just not work because it wouldn't hold up. Also,
Linus did he ran two in sequence with a little coupler, yeah. And he said it's great for CS:GO players who need that like hard edge detection.
I guess. I
mean,
look
style.
at this. And then plus, look at this cable.
It's pretty.
The shielding on it is massive.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
that's like an old DVI cable.
Yeah. So I do wonder if that's the issue, is they really need that signal integrity to do that on. You wouldn't think you would, but you got. I don't know. It's a little odd.
Yeah. So it also does a little bit of noise reduction, chromatic aberration reduction, and a little bit of its own color science. The color I didn't notice it too much, but the noise you definitely noticed.
I did. Well, the noise, but definitely remember there was one because you had a red desktop.
Oh yeah.
And one of them was like, oh, these panels must not be color calibrated, because one is like a really deep red, and the other one's like a little. And it was the cable this one was on.
Yeah,
it was a really deep red. So,
you know what? Here we found the reason. E. Lopez says you can buy the cable and then use it to watch the Full Nerd with better AA.
Oh, that'd be cool.
You just smooth this out,
like a polarization mode.
Yeah, we should put it. We should put it on this TV so I can really get Brad's weird.
We should do
make
that.
my wrinkles go away, right?
Yep, perfect.
And the other external box, which I think is interesting, I have not had a chance to actually open it up. We will now be unboxing Creative Sound Blaster XG6 high-res gaming DAC and USB sound card with headphone by amp.
Fancy,
yes.
Nice.
So basically,
I love myself a good sound card.
Interesting. They actually make one that is a box that looks exactly like this for the Japanese market mostly. And that one is Bluetooth. What it is you use it to hook up your really high-end headphones. You sync it to your phone with Bluetooth, and then it does all the actual processing of the audio on the box. This one is a little different. It's powered by micro USB. You basically get line in, line out, optical. There's a, the little cheater scout mode, all that kind of stuff. It basically sort of promises to get what you can get out of a Sound Blaster AE in a little tiny box. That works with consoles, interestingly. So you can actually power this up and run your console stuff through it, I guess.
I feel like DACs, and this is coming from somebody who reviews a lot of gaming headsets. I feel like DACs are the next big thing that we're about to see a lot of. Yeah, I think that it's been warming up. I mean, you had 3 of them in the office a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I feel like more and more I'm seeing packed in DACs with gaming headsets, and I assume that's going to be the next big battleground now that we've the whole market's kind of shook out in terms of mid-tier and high-end headsets. We kind of know what price those are going to be, and we know what features we're going to get, and outside of them redesigning the entire line every year, there's not much they can do going forward. I think we're going to see a lot of these, and we've seen some in the past. Like Astro has a DAC for the A40 and stuff like that, and SteelSeries, the Arctis Pro, which came out earlier this year, had a DAC.
They just last week said they're going to sell their DAC separately now.
Yeah, they're going to sell that game DAC separately, and that thing is really nice.
Really?
Yeah. So I think that's going to be our next big, on the headset side, the next big fight, which is cool. It's varying quality. Some of them are much better than others, but...
Well, and it is nice, like the Astros, when it's built into the station for the charging too, when the Bluetooth, like things like that,
But wouldn't you like to have it separate so you can take it with you?
Well, so the thing I like about SteelSeries is Game DAC is they have a screen. They have it's like I don't know if you ever used the H Wireless, which then was renamed the Siberia 800, but that was their like high-end $300 wireless headset. It had a base station, and the base station had a little like OLED screen on it.
Oh wow!
And the Game DAC has the same thing. It's like a little 2-inch long screen, so you can actually like go through and adjust everything on the fly. Like, oh, I want to do more bass on this, and it'll just show you the waveform of your EQ and stuff right there. Instead of, I always feel like these are a little impenetrable. You're always like, oh, I'm hitting this button. What does the button do?
Right. I mean, I haven't installed the software.
Enhanced mode.
They may give you a little control.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got their software end of it, and that's probably what they expect people to use. But I like being able to just on the fly, reach over on my desk, adjust the bass real quick.
I gotta say though, and this also has their dual amp thing. This is what they were pushing with the latest Sound Blasters, where they have dual lines for the headphone jack.
Yeah.
I would love to plug this into a laptop and try, because laptops are just the absolute worst audio environments.
Yeah.
Worse than a desktop, I find. So they just sound like universal crap. I bet this would sound awesome with.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You've got basically like on a desktop, right? That's why the front front panel headphone jack is always terrible, because it's poorly shielded, and it's just like, I'm going to shove this in here, and it just buzzes the whole time. You get that like.
But everybody uses them because it's so convenient.
It's convenient. And so I like laptops have the same problem. It's always just like you plug it in, you sort of get that buzz, and sometimes you get like a weird like a electrical interference noise, and it's great.
Yeah, my favorite is then to plug in a USB drive and then copy data.
Yeah,
and you can just hear actually everything pass through. So, yeah, I don't know. Well, but is this? Do you have
the cool thing about a design like that? Creative sent me one of those like a year or two ago. I don't know if it's the same model, but one that looked like that.
Yeah.
And it's cool because you can it charges up, it stores a charge, and you can like use your phone with it and stuff.
Right, that was the one. Basically, very similar to this. I think it's the same shell for phones, so you could get audio processed going to your headphones. This is simply straight. This is a wired product. Gaming laptop, perfect application, but also somebody who doesn't want to run a sound card.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to run a sound card at home, so
why not?
Lazy.
Because you're using USB audio headphones. So you don't even know what you're getting anyway.
I mean, that's the thing is like most of the gaming headset market has also moved to USB with a built-in DAC in the USB cable. So
yeah, see, that's a bummer to me, because I mean, it's going to sound cleaner because you're at least outside the box.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's I find it sort of frustrating because I like to just have one pair of headphones that I'm using for a lot of stuff, and those you can't I'm not going to plug them into my phone. So, but it makes sense for the majority of people to just you're at a PC with a bunch of USB ports, like why would you not be using USB?
Right.
Yeah, that one I find less offensive than like phones getting rid of 3.5 jacks and replacing it with nothing.
Right. No, USB-C. That's a mess.
Yeah.
Read our website Monday.
Yeah,
for that.
getting rid of 3.5 and making your charging port your headphone jack also. Yeah, all that is nonsense.
Do you have any philosophical objections to external DACs? Like, clearly Brad was saying, I don't know about having this, image processing outside my sound or my video card. What about external to your PC? You cool with that?
In general, I'm cool with that because if you connected that to a sound card, that would be different to have a sound card run to an external DAC into a headphone, which is kind of the deal with that other cord, graphics card into this.
Yeah.
But a lot of people I know like those external DACs, so they can just sit them underneath their monitor and just turn the knobs and do stuff right there.
Yeah, like I ran headphones through a like audio processing unit for a long time. Like it was a Scarlett 2i2, so it was a audio interface, and it has a built-in sound card in that, but it's an external unit also. It sounded great. I think that for the majority of people, and like this is kind of why I don't have a sound card. I don't think most people need a sound card at this point. Like most people are not going to hear the difference, especially on
get
their.
Out of here.
Especially, well, no.
Whoop! His mic's cut. Whoops.
Especially on their crappy, like $20 Logitech speakers, like. You're not going to notice the difference. Most people are not using headphones or speakers that are good enough quality to ever take advantage of something like this.
Well, maybe
you know what?
They should.
They're playing WASD like this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trademark it the West Finland way, because you got
West
QWERTY
Finland
and you got that other one, right? Where there's QWERTY and then there's the weird ass like keyboard layout. You got the West Finland style. It's like that's the. No, gotta do that way without getting in trouble.
I agree, Adam. Like, I feel like most people should have pretty nice speakers or a nice headset, and like we do a lot of headset reviews, and I try to like balance. Like the HyperX Cloud was a great pair of headphones that also cost $70, and it was like great. Just please buy this. Like upgrade from your crappy earbuds. It's not a huge expense. You'll get audio that you never knew you could have for $70. But the vast majority of people are just like, I'm using earbuds, or I'm using like a Turtle Beach, like a $40 Turtle Beach headset or whatever. Right. And those people are not going to benefit from having this the same way that like most people don't need a full 5.1 system with a amp in their house. They just like run a sound bar, and they probably run like the cheapest sound bar they could find on Amazon.
Well, we got a good question.
I have a $100 Vizio sound bar.
Yeah, that's decent. It's better than most people, I bet.
Yeah. We got a question from Spectre. At what price do you get? At what price are headsets good enough, in your opinion?
For the vast majority of people, or for like somebody that cares about audio, I would say for the vast majority of people, like $80 to $100. You
like a Cloud.
Yeah, like a Cloud. I mean, we still recommend the Cloud. That's still our. We have a a gaming headset recommendation hub, and we after 4 years took the Cloud off so that we could replace it with the Cloud Atlas, which was just the upgraded version of the Cloud.
Great.
It's a fantastic headset. HyperX has nailed that market for years and years. But there's more and more competition too in that like 80 to 100 range, and the reason is that like that's a totally safe range for people to spend money on for a headset. I think for like people that care about audio, you're definitely better off going for like 150 or $200, or really you're better off probably buying headphones if you care that much about audio. Like that's not a very expensive market either to get good studio headphones.
Well, and even if you take the the Cloud Alphas and plug it into that external deck right there, that's still a pretty good jump too.
Yeah, it's better
other than motherboard audio.
Yeah, and that's like I think I have what HD 280s Sennheisers at home, and I think the other big popular one is the MTX A50s or ATX A50s, the Audio Technicas. I can't remember what the exact number is that everybody loves. And those are both like the 280s, I think, are $100 studio headphones. The Audio Technicas that everybody loves are like $150.
Yeah.
That's what I have. I have Sennheisers as well, the $100 ones.
Yeah, the HD 280s are great headphones, and if you really care about audio, you can get that, and then just buy like a cheapo mic to run on the side. Like the chat part of your equation is not that good, or does not need to be that good anyway. So yeah, if that's,
or you could be like me and just I have my gaming headset and then I have my not gaming headset.
Yeah, and I've got those lying around too. I mean, I review this stuff, so I have a million pairs of headphones lying around. But yeah, I think $100 for a headset is more than enough for most people. If you're a big audiophile, you probably are going to spend many times that. But I mean, I was a sound major in college, and like I still think a lot of those sub $100 headsets sound pretty damn good. So
really,
yeah, good enough for like for day to day. Like I'm just playing video games. Like who cares?
Yeah,
comfort is probably more important.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
And like at that point, I don't know. I just don't feel like it's worth people spending $400 on headsets that they're just gonna like play Tomb Raider on or whatever. Like the differences are so minute. And like a lot of those games are not mixed very well anyway, so who cares?
So just to give you an idea, the Sound Blaster X G6 is $150.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just tells you how pricey this can get. It's got a 32-bit 384 hertz.
M cable or Sound Blaster.
Well, and that's I think another thing. Yeah. Another thing that's worth pointing out is it's probably better if you like really care about audio. Is probably better to buy, like, spend some money on a decent DAC and run like a $100 pair of headphones through it than to spend $300 on a pair of headphones and then run it into your motherboard
audio through the front panel connector.
Like that's gonna you're gonna get much better results out of investing in something like this and then putting your Cloud or whatever into it than you would from running like a pair of studio headphones into that front motherboard jack.
I think I may try this because I'm so lazy. I haven't even changed my sound card at home. Maybe I'm just going to run this over USB to see if,
What's your sound card at home?
It's some older.
Is it 20 years old at this point?
I don't know.
Dug it out of a cellar?
I think I had to dig it. It's like, I think it's like an ISA card at this point, which I actually did pay for at one point. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try it. Yeah, but that's a good point, though. $150 for the cable or $150 for the DAC.
I'm also, let me just say, I'm happy that Sound Blaster made another audio-related product.
Yeah.
Because my biggest pet peeve is that Creative puts the Sound Blaster logo on like their keyboards and stuff.
It's because it's a big brand.
It's an audio brand. Why are you putting it on your keyboard?
Dude,
they put LEDs
at IFA. Polaroid had Windows laptops, really bad like netbook things. And I was just like, as a Polaroid fan, I'm just like, stop doing
it. It would be cool though if they made a keyboard that had a DAC built into it.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I would be down for that.
Maybe even AA.
It's just frustrating. It's like when GameSpot covers movies and you're like, you have game in the name. How could you do this? Like, Sound Blaster, you can't betray me and put your Sound
The
Blaster
sound
logo
card,
on
the
keyboard.
the AE5 has LEDs. And
Great.
do you know why, Hayden? Because it's a sound card with LEDs, which is, everybody was like, what?
Yeah.
But that's like, you want to sell something, you put LEDs on it.
Yeah, I wrote up that HyperX SSD with a
They have
RGB
LEDs?
panel. Yeah, it's beautiful too. It's gorgeous. I just don't understand why.
Because it got LEDs.
All of my SSD mounts in my case are behind the back panel, so you would never see it.
It's all about, it's fashion. You go with PC fashion.
Yeah, I mean, it really is at this point. Let me just move out of the way so you can see that main gear machine again. Oh,
It's beautiful.
look how
But-
bright that thing is. Oh,
we got 3 minutes because Brad is going to he's going to peace out here.
poof. Yeah, Brad's going to go play soccer.
Do we have any
I'm
left?
gonna watch people play soccer.
Do we? Yeah.
I'm large.
Oh, wait, Brad, are we going to see you on the news for screaming at the coach or something like that?
Yeah, Brad, are you that kind of dad? Or are you just like, oh, my
No, I'm
kid
the one.
scored
I
that
sit on
goal?
the bleachers and read Twitter for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a sad note to end.
yeah. Wow. All right.
Yeah, cats in the cradle.
Were
of the
there
silver.
any last questions for Brad before we go?
Yeah.
Still mad about RTX, Brad.
Doritz over on YouTube's asking, can hamsters eat tater tots?
Probably.
No, they can't eat tater tots.
Are you sure?
Oh, they can. It's okay. They can nibble on it. Don't fret if they do. But you shouldn't feed them tater tots. That's a reference to my Twitter from last night. My wife made me Google that.
Wait, what?
My wife made me Google that last night because she wanted to give my daughter's hamster a tater tot.
Dude, you do that. You do the tater tot, you get up like our hamster, okay? That's because that's why I was like, hey, have a tater tot. Got your big
I
back
said
and
no
some
right away,
fries,
but
Hammy.
she made me Google it, man. I'm like, even if it doesn't kill it, that thing will have like. I don't want to see what a hamster with explosive diarrhea looks like. That's what I was thinking of. Running on the wheel.
You can't tell the difference. They're just little tiny pellets. The pellets probably get a little mushier. There's a difference.
That's funny. No outstanding questions. Let's take it out.
All right. Where are my notes here? All right, here we go.
There it is.
Look at this. In time and everything.
I know.
I'm
We did
a
well.
stall. I'm a stall. How much more time you got, Brad? You got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes here.
Any news on Ryzen embedded SoC?
Not that I've
I have
seen.
no idea.
No.
It's something I don't really pay that much attention to, so it's
Yeah,
just
same.
not pretty. I mean, that's lower end probably this Athlon part almost in a way. I would
Alright.
guess. Oh, we got a minute now. Take it right to the end.
Samsonite says Level 1 Tech posted a video today how to improve memory handling on Threadripper 2. Have you seen it?
I have not. I'm kind of
Been stuck here.
been stuck here doing other stuff, so I'll have to go look.
Also, Whiskey Omega on Twitch says we should title the next episode "The Full Hamster."
Oh, the full hand. Yeah, that would be good. Also, I was wrong. Steve is at TechSpot, not Digital Trends, right? I get that.
Yes.
I don't know why. I
Yes.
think they have similar colors. Is that right?
They're
Or
both
am I
blue.
just
They're
crazy?
both blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, blue. Blue's the same. That's it.
Last
They
question.
both do good work.
Halstein's asking: is AMD going to re-release the RX 580 at 15% faster?
XX RX 580 XX.
I doubt it because they just did rename it earlier this year where they said, it's, what is it? The 580X now, I believe. That's what you're joking about. And the only difference was it had up-to-date drivers. So the fact that they went through the name change makes me think they're not going to bother pushing something out anytime soon. I don't think they're going to need to because I don't think we're going to see 2060 in the near future anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Check back next week for your fix of PC Talk on the Full Nerd for audio listeners. Subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a review. Every time you do, Hayden beard gets longer. That's a good one.
Yeah, sure. One day I'll look like Brad.
One day.
Mine's stalled. This is as far as it goes.
Really?
Yeah, I
And-
look like ZZ Top.
Yeah, also, you can listen to us on Google Play or Stitcher. Send questions and comments, please, because all I get is spam to thefullnerd@pcworld.com. Thanks for coming. I'm Gordon Mong with Brad Charkis,
Adios.
Hayden Dingman,
Goodbye, everybody.
and Adam Patrick Murray's going to hit the off switch.
Go watch our video M Cable on YouTube. Go do it. Check it out. I dare you. Bye.
Holy smokes, that's like a...